Hello everyone. I was just going to make a quick video just because sometimes I have something to say, other times I have really nothing to say. And well, I do far better with my speeches when I'm with myself. In this moment in front of the camera, I usually freeze up. I mispronounce words. I don't get to the point, which you probably often see. There can be many things that just happen, which in my head it sounded really well, well thought together, and well spoken inside my head. But when I get in front of the camera, I start to, I guess, freeze up. Now, a few things before I start this quick video, and one is my dog is walking around because my parents just left, so she's walking around the house. You might hear her cry. You might hear her even open the door because the door is sort of open up a little bit. Anyway, you also may hear lawnmowers. So anyway, I really wanted to talk about being in the present. Being in the present moment is something I have to remind myself all the time, every day, because I think it's so easy to forget to stay in this moment, in the moment you are right now. And sometimes I'll even tell myself that, or sometimes someone will remind me that, whether it's, online, someone doing a presentation, or some of my family, my friends. I don't think my friends ever said for me to stay in the present. Maybe they said focus in a video game, but they never really told me that. But it's one of those things where someone tells you, like, sort of like someone saying, hey, listen, over here, listen. And you snap at it and you're like, oh yeah, what? But you're still not listening, right? You're hearing the words being said, but you're paying no heed to them, pretty much. And that's sort of what it's like, in a way, for me at least, with the present moment. It's like someone tries to snap you out of it, and you're like, yep. But until like they actually get through to you, they're like, oh, and you kind of have this realization, what am I doing? And I really loved what Mother Angelica said. I believe that was her. I get some people confused. I think it's Mother Angelica. I did recently watch her, and she said something that really just touched home with me. She basically told a story of two people living in somewhere like Alaska, and they were living together, and the one guy, he died, and so the other man, he buried him out in the yard, and he mourned for him, and basically each night or every morning he would wake up and he would find the man, his body, his dead friend, sitting in this chair, and he was confused, but every morning or whatever, he would just rebury him, and it was pretty morbid. And this is the story Mother Angelica was telling, and people were really confused in the audience. And basically, what he was doing, he was unaware that at nighttime he was sleepwalking, and so he would actually unbury his friend, just with this, I guess, remorse, or just this sorrow. And then she said something that was just like, wow. And she said, isn't that what we do every day? Isn't that what we do with our past? We're not living in the present moment. We're digging things up every night, just like that man digging up his friend, which is very morbid. But it was such a good point, because especially with me, we always reach in the past for something. We always compare to something. And I'm not saying it's like you get bit by a snake in the past and now you're not afraid of snakes because you're living in the present. No, we learn from things in the past, and I think the past teaches us very important lessons, and it leads us on the right path. But when there's a sense of guilt about something you've done in the past, when there is something negative about the past, maybe even something positive and you're a bit prideful of it, we want to leave those things buried, because we're a different person, right? Every second, every nanosecond, or however you want to look at it, we are a different person. We're growing. We're different. We're morphed into the present, and then the present turns into the past. And you can even get caught up in the future. I have a mother who often gets caught in the future. She will think of Thanksgiving when it's like Christmas, like what food are we gonna have? She'll make lists ahead of time, which is good, but she'll usually stress out about things in the future. Like me, I do that too, and I think everyone does to a certain degree. And I just think it's so important to stop thinking about stuff. Shut off your brain if possible, and just focus on something. Focus on anything in your room, or go for a walk in nature. Hear the noise. Be aware. Be just there in the moment. And I know it's easier said than done, because that's definitely me. I can say every second of my life, I can say, live in the present. But how many times am I listening to myself saying that? And how many times am I just hearing those words in my head? It reminds me a lot of actually praying. And what I mean by that is with the rosary and with the Divine Mercy Chaplet, it's often usually just mostly one prayer. And then there are some other prayers, but you have to say with the rosary 10 Hail Marys in 5 decades, meaning it's like 50 Hail Marys, which is a lot of Hail Marys. And then Divine Mercy Chaplet, there's one prayer that goes, "For the sake of a sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and on the whole world." But how many times am I listening to those words? How many times am I actually understanding the prayer that's being said? How many times do I get frustrated and I just want to race through it? I just want to get done with it. I want to clear it off my list, check it off, and be done. And I just think that's so true. We're not listening to ourselves. We're not listening to our own advice, to others' advice. We're just hearing those words being said because they can be terribly cliche in a way. And I just think it's very important to put yourself in this present moment and say, who am I right now? Other than who was I back then? Or who will I be in the future? What will I do in the future? Who will I marry? What job will I have? Where will I be? Lately, for instance, if you ever seen Mr. Nobody, it's a movie with Jared Leto, and basically what happens in his lifetime is, I'm not going to get into the details, he basically can live his life, he dies, and then he goes back to day zero, but with every single memory already in his head. At least I believe that's what the movie's about. And I was thinking about that, and the movie's really all about choices. It's like the butterfly effect. What will happen if I choose this rather than that? The thing I've been struggling with lately, I think, is basically that. What if I date this girl instead of this girl and I chose wrong? What if I one day got a job here, and then there was this job over here that was perfect for me, but I didn't take it, and I screwed up. And because of that, there's this whole chain of events that will lead to a miserable life, or maybe a life that I just didn't want. And honestly, there goes my dog. Honestly, that's the it's okay, Sadie. That's what I've been stressing about lately. And then I have to remind myself, am I living in the present moment? No. I'm stressing about things that it's not even like relevant at the moment. It's like, what am I doing right now? what can I do to actually make a change to this, you know? And I do believe it's healthy to think ahead. I do believe it's healthy to think of the past sometimes. But when it comes to the point where you're grieving over it, you know, you're grieving over it, or you're having strong remorse over things that haven't come to be, or that you haven't even worked on, it's silly, right? It's just, there's a certain psychological word for it that I actually heard on YouTube before, and I think it's called destructive behavior or destructive thinking. And basically, this person, I can't remember, she basically summed it up as, or maybe it was disaster thinking, I don't know. She basically summed it as this guy who broke down with his car, and his tire was flat, and he didn't have an extra spare tire. So the entire time he's going to this house, because he has to borrow a phone, he has to ask the guy for help maybe. So he goes to this house. As he's going to this house, he's thinking in his head, oh man, what am I going to do? I don't know how to fix a tire. I don't know how to, I don't know who to call. I don't have a cell phone maybe. I don't have any of this stuff. This guy is never going to, allow me to come in his house and use his phone, or he's not going to let me, get his help. And he just keeps thinking all these things in like disastrous levels of just like, just awful thinking basically. And basically she said when he gets the door, the person opens up the door to the house that he's needing help from, and as soon as they open it up, the guy just says, oh, just forget it, and then he just leaves. Because he came to that assumption in his head. He came to that point where it came to the worst possible solution, that he was so fed up when they opened the door that he already made the decision for them, that they were going to be non-willing to help, non-willing to let them use a phone or to help, change the tire or whatever. And I think we could do that a lot. And instead, we just have to go with the moment. We can't assume what's going to happen, and we can't go off. We can't judge people off of bad what's the word? Bad experiences from the past. We can't do that. And yeah, so I just really wanted to make this video because I don't know. I think it applies to me so much, and especially at the current moment. And I think it'll really help some of you who are experiencing the same thing, especially during this quarantine, of where is life going, how good we had it, in the past. And you have to remember this is sort of like going back to the Bible, Old Testament stuff. That sounds a lot like the Israelites. They left, so they were basically enslaved by Egypt, and they were crying out to God every day for their freedom. And when the time came, Moses led them out, and they were moaning the entire way, before the Red Sea and after the Red Sea. They were complaining like, oh, Moses, why did you take us out of Egypt? We were slaves, but at least we had food, and all that stuff. And it reminds me a lot of this quarantine, actually. And whenever I complain, I kind of go back to that headspace where I'm like, I'm complaining, and yet I'm still alive. I didn't get sick. And I think that's also very important. And what I was trying to also explain in the past video that I just made, and that's basically, there are some things in this life that isn't worth worrying about. It's not worth stressing about. And what I said in the past thing was I had regrets that I didn't travel and I didn't, get to do some stuff. But there's a certain type of guilt that comes over me when I do that, because I'm like, I'm complaining over these things. When kids are born with no limbs, and I know that's such a dramatic thing, but it's true. Kids have cancer. There's some people that don't have the ability to do this. the most basic function that we take advantage for every day. We wake up and we expect a cup of coffee, and we get a cup of coffee. But do we wake up and are we glad that we can move our hands and walk on ground in a house with a roof over our head, and to actually have coffee in the fridge, or to have food in the fridge, or to have such a situation that you do now? And I just have to pause, and I have to ask myself, is this worth murmuring about? Is this worth complaining about? Because it's not. A lot of kids, and then I'm not calling myself a kid, a lot of people don't get to travel. A lot of people in life stay in one place. They work in a cubicle. They go to work each day doing something they probably hate, maybe. And then I look at my situation and I say, well, I'm way better off than someone sitting in a cubicle every day of their life doing work. And sure, that's their choice. They can quit, or maybe they're forced for some other reason. Maybe they have to pay the bills on time. And yet, I complain that I'm not traveling. I'm not doing stuff. But here I am, being able to walk, being able to move, to speak, to think, to create, to write and draw, and to live in a house with a loving family and parents, and to have food on the table. And these are the stuff that matter. This is the stuff that matters, really. Not the unimportant stuff. So I have to constantly take myself back to this present moment, where I just remind myself, this is where I am, and this is good. It's good because I didn't get the coronavirus. And people have died from the coronavirus. I'm good because I have food. And people are out there who are working every day to provide food for their family. So living in the present moment is crucially important, because we can often look back and compare our lives like the Israelites did in Egypt. They compared to at least having food. And I think this quarantine is a lot like traveling through a desert. We're trying to find the end to it. And maybe the end won't come. I've heard a news report that this will always be here. And I understand that because the flu is still here, right? We get vaccinations every year for that. And yet, we really can't look for the end. We can just travel to it with confidence, right? If we're constantly searching for the end, or the next goal point, or the next great job, or the next item that will make you happy, or the next woman of your dreams that will make you happy, or the man of your dreams that make you happy, or if we're just looking for that end point of, okay, this is it, this is what will make me happy, I promise you, you will never find it. We can only take each moment as we can every day, and in hopes that we are traveling to that place. Not that I'm saying that items and people or jobs will make you happy, because I believe in God, and I believe He is the way, the truth, and the life. And He is the only means of happiness at the end and now. So I know this was more of a serious video compared to my last one. But I'm happy I could actually communicate that, because oftentimes I get really flustered with my thoughts, and I'm just sitting on the couch, sitting in a car, thinking about all this, and like, how am I going to tell this to in the next video? And I get on the video, I hit record, and I just go off the rails. So I'm happy I was able to do this. And just so you guys know, I do read your comments. Some guy who wants a guy or girl, I don't know. He or she wants a watch seller video. I will think about it. I don't think I have too many of their watches, to be honest. I'm really trying to get rid of stuff. So that's possibly a maybe. This also isn't a sublime area to do ASMR. Everyone's gone from the house, but that is like a 1 out of 100 possibility or chance. So it's very rare. And so I can only do videos as they present the moment. Can't really plan ahead. So like this was planned, like, how long did I do this? So yeah, this was planned about 25 minutes ago. So I didn't have much time to make the decision. And I was kind of at the mercy of this computer to actually turning on. But basically, to end this video, guys, I urge yourself to not complain. No matter your situation, no matter what kind of challenges or tribulations you have faced throughout this year or throughout last year or the years to come. Because you must live in the present moment. You must keep telling yourself that, and you must keep listening to yourself saying that. Because if you don't, you're going to be living in the past, or you'll be living in the future. And that's not a place you want to be. And it's so true what Mother Angelica said when she said, isn't that what we do every day? We dig up that past, and there it is, and it's unconscious, or unsubconscious. Is that a word? It's you know what I'm saying. But we don't realize it. And just like the guy who woke up every morning and saw his friend, his dead corpse sitting in a chair, he didn't realize he was sleepwalking until one day he realized. And we need to start realizing that, hey, we're digging up that past. We're digging up that thing that we shouldn't be. We should just leave it there. We should leave it dead, because that's what it is. We are a new person today. And let's start living in the present. Thank you guys very much for watching. Sorry if this wasn't too much of ASMR. I do like making these types of videos. Yeah. Thank you for watching. See you guys.